What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This is Eric, and today it's time to review Scream 5. I'm calling it Scream 5, even though the title says just Scream, but no. This is Scream 5. I've been getting really irritated with this trend with Halloween, Candyman. You know, they're sequels, but they want to call them by the original movie just so people don't think they have to watch them all, but they also don't want to piss off the original fans, so they also make it a sequel, and this is what this movie does. The difference, though, it acknowledges this within the movie, and it actually makes sense within the context of the movie. So maybe I can forgive this movie for just being called Scream, but don't think I don't know what y'all are doing. You're still doing the same little trick and trying to get as many people in the theater as possible. It's Scream 5, ladies and gentlemen, and it's probably best that you have seen the previous 4 movies, at least the original. You must see the original before seeing this movie. I would prefer most see all 4 of them, I think, for the best viewing experience, but at least please see the original Scream before you go see this movie. Having said all that, let's get into the review, and I actually really enjoyed this movie. I like this movie a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a perfect time for this type of a Scream sequel where you kind of have the Requel thing going on, and it is acknowledged from within. You have the super horror movie fan from within. All the things that we've already seen in Scream movies are kind of in here. There's nothing completely new here other than, of course, it's a new movie, new scenes, no new characters, and all that is great, and I'll get into that. It actually works for this movie. It's kind of a breath of fresh air. I'm getting so tired of, sequels from my beloved franchises that I really love that are just, completely disrespectful. They completely destroy the franchise or damn near destroy the franchise because some director, thinks that he's going to go ahead and subvert expectations. I'm talking to you, Rian Johnson, Last Jedi. To be fair, he did subvert my expectations because I actually expected a good movie. But here, my expectations were met. I just wanted a fun Scream movie that makes sense within the franchise, that doesn't do anything too crazy, but also has some surprises and twists and turns along the way, and it did all that. You bring back some legacy characters. They're well respected in this movie. You bring some new characters, and they're all pretty damn good. I really like the new characters. There are some characters that are missed, of course, and they're kind of replacements for them within this movie, and I think they're all really good. Are they going to be as great as the legacy characters, as the originals, like, Randy from the first couple movies, or some other great characters like Stu from the first movie, or Billy? I don't know. It's tough to match some of the originals, but I think they do pretty damn well, to be honest. And there are some characters with some new quirks and some new attitudes, and just the way that they talk and things like that. I like a lot of these new characters. There's some good little comic relief, not over the top, but just in the way that Scream comedy has always pretty much worked. And I'm not saying I love every line of dialogue in this movie, far from it. I'll get into that, but overall, it's pretty solid. I never have loved every line of dialogue in the Scream movies. I've never loved everything about these movies. There are definitely cringe moments in all 5 movies. But overall, I really enjoy this franchise, and I think this movie pretty much got it right. And that's without the great Wes Craven, which was one of the big concerns. But I think this movie was a really respected him. I think he would love this movie. And right at the end, it says for Wes, and it stayed on the screen for, a few seconds. So that was a really nice send-off. And overall, it's a movie that, hey, I wouldn't mind another Scream movie. Although if they left this one as the last one, I think that would be fine as well. It may be for the best, to be honest. Leave it as something solid. Hopefully they release like an awesome 5-movie Blu-ray set or 4K set here. I'll definitely be first in line for that if I had any money, which I don't. As far as the kills in this movie, really brutal. I mean, this is like they're going like Halloween Michael Myers level stuff in this movie. It is really, really brutal. And yeah, some super carnage candy in this one, no doubt about it. There are some shocks along the way. You don't know who's safe. Trust me, we've already learned that in the Scream franchise. Nobody is safe in the Scream franchise. I'll also say, while some stuff was predictable in this movie I'm about to get in, the big reveal, who's killing everybody, it wasn't the most obvious. And usually Scream movies, they do a pretty good job of not making it completely obvious. You may have a guess. You may be like, oh yeah, that's definitely the killer. And then there's always this point like, well, maybe not. Maybe not. They're not really acting like wait, yeah, that's them. That's him. It's him. Or is it? No, it's him. That's who. Yes, 100. Oh, he's dead. Oh, guess not. The original cast, all really awesome. New cast, pretty good for the most part. And overall, it's a fun ride. Is it stupid? Sure. I'll get into some of the details on that. Is it predictable at times? Sure. Is there logic issues? Hell yes. Lots of that stuff. Lots of those problems are within and even within the entire franchise. And sometimes I'm like, okay, is that intentional because you're making fun of horror movies and you're kind of throwing some of that in there because it's kind of tropey and, that's what scary movies do? At some point, I can accept that as part of the franchise, but at some point, don't use that as an excuse to make it just dumber and be able to do whatever you want. Because ultimately, this is still supposed to be a real story going on. We're supposed to believe what's going on and say you can only stretch, the plausibility of some of this stuff so much. And sometimes I think they go a little too far with it. Which brings me, of course, to my negatives about this movie. And, the first thing I'll say, and this is maybe not really a negative at all. I don't think this is a negative, but there's nothing really new that happens here. Again, it's kind of just almost beat for beat, the first movie, but not really. It's kind of, but that's by design. Requel, right? That's by design. And again, I think it works. I think this was the time for that with all these requels coming out with Halloween. Who knows how long this trend will continue. It may slow down. It may stop completely. So this was the time to put out this Scream movie. I think this was a perfect time for it, and they executed it. Sometimes within the movie, though, a little breaking the fourth wall, the little talking about movies and stuff, and it's a part of the franchise. I think it goes a little too far sometimes. A little too far, a little nonsensical how they just assume, it has to be someone within the group. Really, you wouldn't just assume that. It could be anybody doing these killings. It doesn't have to be one of the, we know as fans watching the movie in the theater, we know that it's someone from within the group. Of course, it's going to be someone we know within the movie. I don't know who, but it's going to be someone here that we've seen on screen. Not just some killer's going to come out of nowhere at the end. But in any kind of real life scenario, you don't know that. It could be just some whack job who's not even, who's from some other state who just showed up to kill people and try to make his own Scream requel. It doesn't necessarily have to be. But from the beginning, they're like, okay, which one of us is it? I noticed the cussing in this movie, and I cuss, don't get me wrong. But just people just throwing F-bombs for no reason, like in the middle of sentences, just that didn't feel very natural. And sometimes the way people talk wasn't that natural in this movie. I felt that sometimes the script was not the best, at least, a little bit cringe at times, more so than maybe some of the other sequels. But, nothing too terrible. But I just would notice it at times. And there's some logic issues, decision making. Again, I know this is what people do in a scary movie. When you're in a scary movie, you do dumb things. And they acknowledge it within the movie, and they still do dumb things. But I mean, some of the dumbest things I'll get into in my spoiler review. What are you? This makes no sense. What are you doing? Do you want to die? So yeah, there's logic issues. There are definitely some dumb lines and some cringe moments in it. It's not perfect, but overall, it fits right in with the Scream universe, in my opinion. I think it's definitely not my least favorite. It's probably not my favorite. I mean, I'll have to think about it. I may go watch this one again. I think I will, because I'm actually in the middle of watching all the Scream movies. I've seen them before, clearly, but I didn't get a chance to finish my review series, and I didn't finish the watching. I watched Scream 2. I was going to review it. I got too busy, and I want to watch Scream 3 and Scream 4, and I might be ready to go back to the theaters and watch this one again at that point. I really like this movie a lot. I don't think any of the Scream movies are masterpieces. I don't think it's a masterpiece of a franchise, but I think it's a really fun, really awesome franchise, a really good idea. And when you take into account that, Wes Craven wasn't part of this, you could have fooled me. I mean, it's really good. I think Wes Craven would have definitely approved. I approve of this movie. It is definitely a great film. I will say it's not a masterpiece, but it's a great film. Check this one out in theaters. A lot of fun, despite its flaws, which are several. But despite that, I really enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys will check it out. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. I would recommend it if you're a Scream fan. Let me put it this way. If you love the Scream movies, you'll love this movie. You might not like everything about it, but I think you'll enjoy it. If you hate the Scream movies, stay the freak away from this movie. You guys have a fantastic day. Let me know what you think of Scream 2022, Scream 5, Scream, whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm calling it Scream 5. And this movie's really good. I liked it. We'll see y'all next time.